The world's most photographed woman was Princess Diana. The palace was unaware of the high-stakes legal game she was playing behind the flashbulbs. When she tragically died, everyone thought the crown would take her enormous wealth. Then, however, her will was revealed. As it happens, Diana took a covert action to guarantee that her estate went to a certain recipient. A contentious action that was challenged in court by her own relatives. The reality about who truly received Diana's legacy, is what makes the royal family seem the way it does now, from secret letters of wish to a multi-million-dollar freedom fund. The money wasn't the only factor. The one person she trusted to continue her revolt was at the center of it. Was this, then, a premeditated attack on the monarchy or a mother's last gesture of protection? Stay put, because the contents of that will alter our perception of the princess of the people. Princess Diana's modest upbringing, the formative years that shaped her into a renegade. The fourth of 5 children born to John Spencer by Count Althorp and Frances Spencer by Countess Althorp, Princess Diana was born on July 1, 1961, at Park House, Sandringham in Norfolk. Her family was already deeply entwined with royal history when she came. The Spencers had been in the same circles as the crown for many generations. The Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, had both of Diana's grandmothers as ladies-in-waiting. Diana had no intention of becoming involved with the royal family. From the beginning, they were present. However, behind the titles and customs, the room was filled with disappointment. For a whole week, no name was decided upon, as her parents had hoped for a son to continue the family line. Diana Frances was chosen in honor of her mother and a distant aunt who had previously been thought of as a possible Princess of Wales herself. In the family, Diana was given the nickname Dutch at a young age, which younger brother Charles, and was baptized at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham, that August. However, loss had already affected the home before Diana even breathed her first breath. A year before, John, a newborn brother, had passed very soon after birth. After that, the pressure to have a male successor only increased, forcing her mother to undergo degrading medical exams, on London's Harley Street. Diana's brother would later say that time was terrible for their parents. The emotional breakup that most likely caused their separation. Diana's early years were spent at Park House, a residence she rented from Queen Elizabeth II, whom she referred to as Aunt Lily. Diana played with Princes Andrew and Edward, just like any other local kid, while the royal family was on vacation nearby at Sandringham House. It appeared to be the start of a fairy tale from the outside. The ground was already moving inside. Diana's parents' marriage ended when she was 7 years old. Later, in 1969, her mother remarried after starting a romance with Peter Shankid. Diana briefly resided in London with her mother during the separation. However, with the help of Lady Fairmoy, his former mother-in-law, her father, refused to allow her to return that Christmas. After he was granted custody, Diana continued to live with him. In 1976, her father remarried Rain, Countess of Dartmouth, bringing up yet another transformation. Almost immediately, Diana's relationship with her stepmother became strained. Rain was perceived by Diana as a bully, and there was an ongoing, unresolved, and raw hostility between them. Diana once shoved her stepmother down a flight of stairs. Diana would subsequently recall her early years as being extremely unstable and unpleasant. Everything changed once more in 1975. Diana became Lady Diana once her father obtained the title of Earl Spencer. The family relocated overnight from Park House to Northamptonshire's Althorp, the Spencer seat. They now had a new home and a new title. But once she entered those imposing walls, the emotional upheaval followed. Her schooling came to her in bits and pieces. Her governess, Gertrude Allen, homeschooled her at first, and then she went to Norfolk's Silfield Private School. She was sent to Riddlesworth Hall, an all-girls boarding school close to the Ford, when she was 9 years old. She enrolled with her sisters at Kent's Westheath Girls' School around 1973. Academics were never easy. She had 2 O-level failures. However, educators saw something else. Her generosity, compassion, and natural desire to support people. An early indication of the compassion that would eventually characterize her public life was the school award she got for community spirit. At 16, she dropped out of school. She was very bashful in those years, according to friends. But underlying it were hidden strengths. She was a pianist. She was quite good in diving and swimming. She took tap and ballet classes. She turned to movement when words failed her. Diana started volunteering at a Kent psychiatric hospital in the middle of the 1970s. She was a nanny in Hampshire in 1978. She spent one term at a finishing school in Switzerland that year before going back to London. There, she lived with two pals in her mother's apartment and started putting adulthood together piece by piece. She worked at low-paying jobs, taught dancing to young people, and attended advanced cooking, music, classes before being sidelined for 3 months due to a skiing accident. Playgroup work, cleaning for family friends, party hosting, nannying for an American family, and finally helping as a nursery instructor in Pimlico followed music. As a gift for her 18th birthday, her mother purchased a tiny apartment, music, at Cohern Court in Earls Court in July 1979. Diana lived in peace and quiet with her 3-room. She was gaining self-reliance, music, responsibility, and the ability to navigate adulthood according to her own terms. Meanwhile, a much more complex drama was already underway elsewhere in royal circles. Unresolved love, royal expectations, and a romance that never really ended created this tale. And Diana's story was about to clash with that one in a way that would alter their entire existence. Princess Diana was broken by the love triangle. One of the messiest and most intense royal entanglements in contemporary history is still the love triangle involving Princess Diana, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla. It didn't blow up all at once. It began long before Diana ever came into the picture and developed gradually and subtly over decades. Lucia Santa Cruz, a mutual friend, arranged for Charles to meet Camilla Shand at a polo event. Something clicked right away during the first discussion. The way Camilla spoke to him without fear or awe, laughed at the same ridiculous things he, music, did, and smiled with her eyes as much as her mouth drew Charles in. Titles didn't impress her. She didn't fawn. As if she had seen the guy before the throne, she met him easily and naturally. Charles was taken right away. He started phoning her all the time after their initial encounter. However, romance is not a pause in royal life. Distance began to creep into their relationship after Charles quickly enlisted in the Royal Navy. Music, however, Camilla didn't fulfill what were then thought to be prerequisites for getting married to the Prince of Wales. She wasn't a virgin, and the palace didn't like her noble background. Those silent assessments were significant. Under pressure, the relationship finally fell apart. While Charles was stationed in the Caribbean in the late 1960s, Camilla reverted to her old boyfriend, Andrew Parker Bias. Andrew proposed marriage to Camilla, and she accepted. Charles was devastated by the news. He expressed his sadness in letters, stating that fate H. Music, the wedding didn't break their relationship, even though Charles begged her not to proceed. The physical aspects of their relationship gradually returned shortly after they remained close friends. Andrew was aware of the entire situation, but he chose not to become involved, even though Camilla was now married and had a child. Later, others with knowledge of the matter claimed that he decided not to raise a fuss, possibly even taking odd solace in the knowledge that his wife was seeing the future king. Charles then got to know Lady Diana Spencer in 1977. At the time, she was 16. At first, there was no romance or spark. Actually, Charles dated Lady Sarah, her older sister, at first. Diana was merely in the background, a bashful adolescent circling royal areas without realizing she would soon be drawn right into the thick of things. Everything had altered by 1980. When Charles saw Diana again, his perspective on her changed. She was young, attractive, and scandal-free. She was a wonderful fit for the regal persona. Diana began going to Sandringham and Balmoral with him. She went to his polo games. On occasion, Camilla was also present. The media took note. Charles hurried to make a proposal as a result of the rising speculation. Charles and Diana declared their engagement in February 1981. They were hailed as a fairy music tale couple by the world, but almost immediately they began to exhibit signs of weakness. Diana responded in the affirmative when asked if they were in love. After hesitating, Charles said, whatever in love meant. Prior to becoming engaged, they had only met 12 times. In what became known as the wedding of the century, they were married on July 29, 1981. Prince Harry came in 1984 after Prince William did so in 1982. Diana would later claim that the closest she and Charles ever got to happiness was during those formative years. However, those musical moments were short-lived.